Welcome back. My conversation with Mr. Michael Derus continues as he discusses trade, security, and world issues. Most people have the impression that Nigeria is bedeviled with security issues, Boko Haram in the north, corruption, and so on. That's the impression they get before they get here. Did you have those impressions, and did they change after your arrival?
I have to say we do not know enough about Nigeria, and the Nigerian image abroad, I think, is one of the major issues we all have to work on. And what you always have in the media, not only in Germany, but I think all over Europe or even globally, are the security issues. Last year it was the issue of Ebola. And sometimes people still take note of the economic success. They see that it is an oil exporting country, but all the variety, the dynamics which exist here, you only can perceive when you are on the spot.
Well, Germany was one of the observers with the European Union Commission, the observer group for the general elections that took place in Nigeria. And I know that Germany has really good relations with Nigeria. So how further are those relations going to go with the new administration?
I really have to commend the Nigerians, the Nigerian people, on how the elections were conducted. It was peaceful. There was a peaceful change of power, which I think is something which can serve as a model not only to other African countries but globally. And I personally participated within the framework of the EU electoral mission in the electoral observation, and it was very interesting to see with how much engagement it was conducted. And I have to really, not only to flatter you, because that was really my impression, to emphasize the role also the media played, especially Channels TV. Whenever I was not on electoral mission, I followed nearly 24 hours the coverage Channels TV gave, and it was very interesting with all the rounds of experts, the critical analyses, the direct interviews via telephone with governors and other outstanding participants of the process. And in the end, we should not forget about the outstanding role of the president of the Electoral Commission, who really made this a success.
In the previous, with the past administration, the BiNational Commission was established, and German Chancellor Angela Merkel was in Nigeria, I believe, at that time. Could you tell us how far we have come with the BiNational Commission?
Yeah, it is a very active body, actually. I personally had the privilege to participate at the deliberations at State Secretary level last year in Abuja in the political working group of the Commission. And just last week we had a meeting of the BiNational Commission in Berlin. So I think this expresses this really is a very active instrument of our bilateral relations. And let me mention one fact which shows how important, in our view, Nigeria's role is. The just elected President Buhari was invited to the G7 summit in Germany, Elmau, under the German G7 presidency. And that, I think, expresses how important we see Nigeria as a partner.
And you're also helping with the fight against insurgency, of course, with the EU again. But what support is Germany, what assistance is Germany offering specifically to Nigeria in the fight against insurgency?
In the framework of the European Union, we supported and voted very much in favor of EU support of the multinational joint task force in combating Boko Haram, and we have also in the past worked on cooperation with the military in training programs. You know that we have military attaché staff in our embassy in Abuja. So there are long-standing contacts between Nigeria and Germany in this field. And we have reinforced in the past also our police cooperation. Another field which is really important to contain terrorism, and in that area Germany has a very long-standing experience and can make contributions, is to contain the proliferation of small arms and light weapons.
I know you haven't had, specific instances where you had to deal with insurgent groups within Germany, but you fought 2 world wars. What suggestions would you give to the Nigerian government in its fight against Boko Haram?
Most of the European states which were at the center of that First World War were not democracies yet. So the political decision-making processes were completely different from what we have now. The Second World War, we have to admit as Germans that it was a war of aggression which was fought by the Nazi regime, which also had abandoned all democratic standards. I have the impression that the approach Nigeria is choosing, not to only combat Boko Haram with military means in conjunction with its partners in the region, but also to seek a very important way to do something against the root causes and go for developing the areas in the north is one of the very important keys to success to really eradicate terrorism and the causes for that.
Terrorism, which you have mentioned, is a global problem. So how is Germany dealing with that?
You know that Germany is in very many international organizations, and that we are members to all relevant UN instruments to combat terrorism. And I absolutely agree with you that the challenge of terrorism as we face it from Boko Haram, from Al-Shabaab, from IS is a global challenge now. And within the framework of the different institutions I have mentioned, Germany plays an important role to combat terrorism. We also have, of course, and we just have a trial in Germany of returnees, young Germans who served with IS and now are coming back. Germany has to really develop its own way to deal with the problem, and we all have to contribute to that. It really is a global challenge, and I think it would go far beyond what can be said and discussed in an interview like this.
And so what can Nigeria learn from Germany's experience? You rose from the ashes of 2 world wars, and yet you're one of the most powerful nations in the world. How can we learn from your developmental experience?
I think that the success story Germany is living now has a lot to do with our readiness to integrate within the European framework. The ECOWAS community offers to Nigeria and its other partners within that community. And Nigeria, as the economically most powerful nation in that ECOWAS family and the most populous nation, can play a very important role in that and play a leading role in it. But of course also a leader, a lead nation in a certain framework, political framework, and we experience that a lot, sometimes has to consider also the interest of those who are not so powerful, who are not so strong, but who form a part of that community.
And is integration Germany's driving force with Greece's economic problems?
Looking at the Greece financial crisis, you have to see 2 overlapping circles. You have on the one hand the European Union, and you have on the other hand the Eurozone. All members of the Eurozone are also members of the European Union. We have to do all effort possible to keep Greece as a member of the Eurozone. And this is why we developed all those packages to help Greece, but also to preserve Greece as a member of the EU. We face now a situation that Greece makes a lot of efforts to meet the requirements of the international financial community, to which also IMF belongs, to which the Commission belongs, and the creditor community. I cannot conclude now what the outcome of this crisis, which is not yet over, will be, but my feeling is that on all sides the best of efforts is made to overcome it.
Germany also plays a very important role in the P5+1, and Iran. Weeks ago, they eventually agreed on a new Iranian nuclear deal. What's Germany's concern with Iran developing nuclear weapons?
Germany is very much committed to the goals of the Non-Proliferation Treaty, which limits the number of those nations who are entitled to use, to not only profit of the civil use, but also possess nuclear weapons to 5. Those are the 5 members of the security, permanent members of the Security Council. Germany, with all its technological development, took a very clear decision in the 60s to renounce the use of nuclear weapons and also not have nuclear weapons. We see Iran now, for the past 30 years, in a very difficult geopolitical situation, which really would become more difficult if you have nuclear actors in the region. So it was a very important goal of Germany, together with its partners, to find a way to, on the one hand, accommodate Iran in its needs for improving its power situation, which implies also peaceful uses, but to prevent enrichment of Iran to a degree which is above what is needed for civil use. And this is what happened in the past. So the risk of a nuclear outbreak from civil to military use might be considerably reduced, if not banned, with the implementation of the agreement which has been reached.
Thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thank you.
That's our show this week. Thank you for watching. I am Amarachi Ubani. If you want to drop us a line, please do so using any of the addresses showing on your screen. I'll see you next time.